Hello, everyone. I want to welcome all of our listeners to the first of what we hope to be a number of short interviews that we will be hosting before our conference, Coronavirus and International Affairs, which is sponsored by the Penn State School of International Affairs, Penn State Law, the Coalition for Peace and Ethics, and the Research Network for Law and International Affairs. For those of you who can see, I put information up about our conference and website. The conference will be 17 April from 9:30 to 12:30 US East Coast time. For those of you who can do QR codes, I have a QR code. You can look at the conference website. And our object over the course of the next 4 or 5 of these is to introduce you to some of our panelists and to introduce you very briefly to some of the ideas and issues that we're going to be dealing with during the course of the conference, and hopefully as we engage with all of you after the conference. It's my great pleasure in that context to introduce you to Dr. Flora Sapio. She is a political scientist and a China scholar who's taught and or lectured about themes related to the law and politics of China, in the Hong Kong SAR, in the United States, Australia, Italy, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Denmark, the UK, Sweden, and other places. She is the author or editor of 5 books and more than 40 research articles written in English and in Chinese. She's authored commentaries on contemporary issues and is a founding member of the European China Law Studies Association. She currently works at her alma mater, and let's see if I could pronounce this right, the Università degli Studi di Napoli L'Orientale in Naples, of course. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome Professor Sapio. Say hello.
Hi, good evening.
All right. I'd like to pose a couple of questions to you. We're going to take just a few minutes to do this. And I want to start with a basic question, and one that actually I'm very curious about, and I'm sure most people are as well who don't live in Italy. And that question is, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your daily life, both as a researcher and as a faculty member in Italy? You're in Rome and in Naples.
The COVID-19 crisis has affected my daily life as a researcher and as a faculty member in, I would say, in each and every possible way. The first and most important change that has been brought about by the ongoing crisis has been that we had to shut down our university. All universities and all primary and secondary schools are currently shut down in Italy. And we had to switch to online teaching in a very short time. The changes have not been limited to our teaching activities. The way the university administration works has changed as well. Most of our employees, most of our colleagues who work in the administration can no longer go to their physical offices, and they are working from home. Exams are being held remotely. Graduation ceremonies are being held remotely as well. And now the way we do research has changed as well, because we are no longer able to visit archives, to visit university libraries, for instance. And we have to rely on the resources that are available remotely.
How are your students reacting to the changes in the way in which they are now having to deal with their education?
My students are reacting in a really, really great way. They are doing well, and they are showing an exceptional resilience and adaptability. to this radically new situation. You have to consider that we're talking about people who are younger than us, people who are in their 20s. And while I and some other colleagues who work in China studies got direct or indirect experience of SARS many years ago, for them this is an entirely new scenario. And all considered, they are doing great, and they are showing really really a great resilience.
Okay. What about in terms of your normal life? I'm assuming Italy has been one of the places where you've had some of the more strict rules regulating your life. How has that affected the way in which you ordinarily live, and to what extent has that also affected your professional life?
The way in which I ordinarily live has been affected in some respects, but not in all respects. Let me explain. There are some things I could do before that I can no longer do now, like going out for a walk, or going out for a swim, or going out for a run or hiking. And since March the 11th, that is no longer possible. My professional life has been affected in many different respects. But compared to other people, I'm still lucky in a way, because I used to work from home like 3 days a week. And while I can feel the disruption as anyone else, my daily rhythm has been affected in a sensible measure, but not as much as the life of other people.
Ah, okay.
Both their professional and their personal life. We have millions and millions of people who have lost their job, and who are, in a sense, they have no other choice but staying outside in order to contain the spread of COVID-19. And their life has been affected in ways which are profound, deep, and
What is the mood in your neighborhood?
my mood the mood in my neighborhood is, I would say it's mixed. Some people have maintained more or less the same mood that they had before the beginning of COVID-19, right? Other people are displaying or conveying or communicating the most diverse feelings of, I would say, fear, anger, uncertainty, sadness, the whole spectrum of negative feelings. It's been a mixed response. I would say a highly individual response. Different people are reacting differently to the changes we are experiencing, and making like broad and sweeping generalizations about moods in Italy and how people are reacting and what is going on. It's perhaps not really possible.
Yeah. Has this been evidenced at all in politics, or is it still internal and psychological?
I would say this is internal and psychological.
Do you think it'll ultimately show in outside expressions of the people, perhaps when the crisis is over, or is it too early to tell?
If I have to give like an intellectually honest answer, I don't know. It's too early to tell. It's too early to tell. Yeah. These different moods may not show like through external signs, behaviors, ideas, expressions, and other ways. Well, it's too early to tell.
Okay. All right. So I have another question for you. How has daily life been affected after Italy, like many other states, has closed her borders with respect to what had been really free movement of goods, of capital, investment, and to a large extent of people? Has there been a substantial effect? Is this going to be an ongoing effect?
We this is my personal opinion, and I'm speaking in my capacity as an individual, right? We have not yet witnessed the full effects of the ongoing limitation to the movement of capital, investment, good, people, etc. We may start witnessing those effects in the harvest season, in August, in September, when most of the agricultural workers who come from other countries in the European Union will be unable to take up their seasonal employment. It has been estimated that we risk losing roughly 40% of the harvest of fruit and vegetables.
Oh my goodness, and that's a significant output for the EU markets.
That's a significant output for the national market, for the EU market, and for all the markets in which we are exporting our, our goods. I'm aware of the fact that, our government, in cooperation with the other governments of European countries, is trying to find solutions to allow these persons to travel to Italy to work here. But again, it is still too early to tell what may or may not happen in August and September. But our crops are at risk.
And one last question for you. And for those of us listening, stay tuned, and you're welcome to come to our conference where we will be talking about this more often at a greater length. One last question. So do you think that in the wake of COVID-19, that there has been a fundamental change, either for the good or for the bad, a fundamental change in the discussions about and in the politics of migration into Italy?
Again, it is still too early to tell whether there has been a fundamental change or whether a fundamental change in our policy towards migration will occur. We are just at the start of a process that will be a much longer one, and that might extend over several months, if not more. We are right at the start, and we have not yet witnessed the full impact of the crisis. Of course, we have been hit by the COVID crisis really hard. What I'm talking about is the impact of the COVID crisis on our supply chains, on our agricultural sector, on our industrial sector, on the educational sector. When it comes to these and other sectors, essentially all sectors other than healthcare, we are right at the start of a much longer process. And it is still too early to make any predictions, to project scenarios, or to make simulation or anything else.
All right.
It's still too early.
Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else you would like to add before we sign off and get ourselves ready for the conference on the 17th?
Thank you. No. Not tonight maybe, but I will be really happy to contribute to the discussion that we will have during our roundtable in 7 days. In 7 days, yes.
And I'm actually looking forward to your thoughts on coronavirus and the relations between Italy and China, of which I know that you have done a lot of thinking. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Sapio.
Thank you.
Thank you, audience. I look forward to seeing some of you virtually seeing you at the conference. Stay tuned for more of these short chats, and we will do this again. Thank you again, Dr. Sapio.
Thank you.